Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to present another poem by Wang Wei dedicated to his friend Pei Di. From the late 740s to early 750s AD, Pei Di spent more than 10 years around the Wei River Villa, and they spent a lot of time together visiting the Buddhist temples, sailing down the rivers to enjoy the local tourist spots, and very often composing poems together. Wang Wei even composed a poem teasing Pei Di's poetic practice. There is very little record what Pei Di was doing during this time, but he did attend another imperial examination to obtain a better job in 751 AD that was recorded by another scholar named Qian Qi, who said the same examination. I translated Qian Qi's test poem as an example in my video about Tang Dynasty test poems, because his was regarded as the best test poem ever. Here's the link to my video. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about the classical Chinese philosophies, poetry, and medicine. Please click the like button and subscribe my channel. Your support is very important for me. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. So if you would like to read the original Chinese text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. Now, back to Pei Di. Apparently, he was from a super powerful family like Wang Wei. His family was called Hedong Pei Shi, or the Pei from the east of the Yellow River. The Pei clan was so rich that they provided 50,000 tons of military provision and 400,000 armors for the fourth Tang Emperor Li Yuan's army, helping him to establish the Tang Dynasty. During the 289 years of the Tang Dynasty, 31 men from the Pei family were appointed as the grand generals, and 34 were appointed as the premiers, and a countless number of lower-ranked officers and officials. It is not clear which branch of the Pei clan Pei Di was from, but apparently he got the very best education and was quite talented. He worked briefly for Wang Wei's mentor Zhang Jiuling around the 740s AD, but soon retreated to the Zhongnan mountain near Wang Wei's villa at the Wei River. There is some record suggesting that Pei Di worked as an assistant for Wang Wei's younger brother Wang Jin during the 750s before Wang Wei passed away in 761 AD. But after that, there is no record about Pei Di's life. Some Chinese scholars argue that Pei Di might be quite poor because he only had a small cottage at the Wei River Valley. But I would argue otherwise. Pei Di never mentioned any financial difficulties in his poem, only how frustrated he was not being able to enter the bureaucratic ranks. On the other hand, even Wang Wei complained that he had to support his younger siblings during the early years of his career. But as soon as he and his younger brother Wang Jin entered the bureaucratic system, he never had to worry about making a living. From the early 740s till the time Wang Wei passed away in 761 AD, Pei Di spent nearly 20 years without a proper official position, but never complained about any financial difficulties. Years later, Qian Qi, the one known for his test poem, even composed a poem about enjoying a drink with Pei Di in his library. I would translate the poem in the future if you're interested. Here it suffices to say Paddy was rich and lived a quite comfortable life. Apparently, during the early days at the Whale River Valley, Paddy still held the hope that he might be able to obtain a good job by sitting one of the recruiting exams for officers. So he would study for such exams. But he spent most of his time with Wang Wei touring about the Zhongnan Mountain and nearby temples, sailing on boats along the river and composing poems with Wang Wei. This is clearly demonstrated in a letter sent to him by Wang Wei, missing him because Paddy had to study. Here is the most content from the letter. It is getting close to December. The weather is mild, and the old mountain is quite nice to visit. But you are studying, and I dare not to disturb you. So I went to the mountain alone, had a break at the Buddhist temple, had dinner with the monks, and continued my tour. I went to the dark water at the Bar River, where the bright moonlight reflected from the city walls. I climbed the flower hill. The reflection of the moon goes up and down with the waves in the Whale River. I can see the torchlight from the forest on the distant cold mountain. Dog bark from a deep alley, and its echo sounds like the roar of a leopard. The sound of bells, occasionally interrupted by the grinding sound of processing rice. I sat alone, and my boy servant had fallen asleep. I recalled of the times when you and I walked on this narrow path holding hands, visited these clear waters, and exchanged poems. When the upcoming spring arrives, the trees and grass will grow again. There will be much to see at the mountain. Fish jumps out of water swiftly, white gulls stretch their wings. Morning dew dampens the grass. Young roosters call in the wheat field. It is not far away from now. Would you like to join me for a tour? This letter clearly shows how close Wang Wei was to Paddy. Apparently, Wang Wei were visiting places he and Paddy had frequented over the years. The letter goes to such details about the sceneries he visited during that day, although he was not alone most of the time because he had dinners with the monks and he had a boy servant with him all the time. But when he sat by the Whale River late at night, he was alone, missing Paddy terribly, recalling the happy days they visited all these places together. Although the letter goes on to describe how lively the mountain and river will be in the upcoming spring, maybe after Paddy's exam, they could have visited this place again, but the letter still sounds quite sad. I assume Paddy's place was quite close to Wang Wei's villa because Wang Wei could walk there. So for them to not seeing each other for some time, the only reason was that Paddy needed to study intensively for an exam, and such period should not be very long. The letter indicates the time is close to December, and Wang Wei expected that Paddy should be able to join him by spring, that is, about 2 months later in February. The intense feeling expressed in this letter seems indicating that their relationship was more than friendship. Now, let me read the poem in the title 赠裴迪, all dedicated to Paddy. This title is quite unique that it simply addresses Paddy by his name, unlike the other poems by his title. It might be that they were on the first name basis by this time. Now, let me read the poem in Chinese first. 不相见，不相见来久， 日日泉水头，长忆同携手。携手本同心，复叹忽分金。相忆今如此，相思深不深？ Now, let's look at the first three lines of the poem. 不相见，不相见来久。日日泉水头，长忆同携手。不 means not. 相 means each other. 见 means see. 不 again means not. 相 means each other. 见 means see. 来久 means for a long time. 日 means day. 日日 means day by day. 泉 means spring. 水 means water. 头 usually means head, but it also means the source of something, as in the phrase of 源头, the source of water. 泉水头 refers to the source of a spring. 长 means often. 忆 means remember. 同 means together. 携手 literally means to hold hand. But it is different from the greeting handshake introduced to China from the West, which is 握手. So these three lines can be translated as not seeing each other, not seeing each other for a long time. Day after day, at the source of the spring, I often remember us holding each other's hands. Now, I would like to go into a little bit deeper about the holding hand or 携手. 携手 in classic Chinese might not have the same meaning as holding hand in the West today. It was quite common for men to have body contacts without any sexual implication in ancient China. For instance, in one of Du Fu's poems describing his traveling experience with Li Bai, there is this couplet. 醉眠秋共被，携手日同行. Meaning, we shared one quilt in a drunken night and walked holding hands during the day in that autumn. I don't think Du Fu and Li Bai were having an affair here. It simply means they were living in the same room, traveling, and occasionally ended up in the same bed when drunk. Because both Li Bai and Du Fu were clearly straight men, none of their poems expressed any interest in men. So holding hand here can be interpreted in either as close friendship or romantic interest. But things seems a little different in the second part of the poem. 携手本同心，复叹忽分金。相忆今如此，相思深不深？携手 again means hold hand. 本 means come from. 同 means the same. 心 refers to the heart and mind. 同心 means of the same heart and mind. So David and I translate it as kindred spirit. 复 means again. 叹 means shy. 忽 means sudden. 分 means separate. 金 refers to the color. 分金 means to separate. 相 means each other. 忆 means miss. 今 means now. 如此 means as so. 相 means each other. 思 means think. 相思 is a fixed term for love sickness. I have explained this term in my video about Wang Wei's poem in the title 相思. In that video, I suggested that the poem was for his wife. But I did mention that some scholars argue that it was for a friend, that is, Patty. Now I'm reading this poem, I'm having a second thought. Maybe it was for Patty. Some Chinese scholars argue that 相思 can be used in a non-romantic sense. However, It is evident that 相思 was used as a specific term about romantic love during the Tang Dynasty. The evidence are the large number of poems in the title of 长相思 or Missing You Forever. I have made quite a few videos about the poems with this title. The best known poems in this title are the 3 poems by the great Tang Dynasty poet Li Bai. Here is the link to the video of the first poem by Li Bai. Did Wang Wei use 相思 in a romantic sense? Let me know what you think in the comment section. David and I decided to translate this term in its romantic sense. 深 means deep, 不 means not. 深 again means deep. The format of something something, 不 and something something is a fixed format for a question such as 好不好? Is it good? 去不去? Would you like to go or not? Etc. 深不深 here is a rhetorical question meaning isn't our love sickness deep, or how deep is our love sickness? So these 4 lines can be translated as our holding hands come from being kindred spirits. I sigh again at our sudden separation. Now we miss each other so. How deep is our love sickness? So, is this a love poem? David and I slightly differ in our opinion. He is quite positive that this is a love poem from Wang Wei to Pei. Even the phrase 相思 was used to describe their feeling for each other. Wang Wei could not be more explicit about the nature of their relationship, but I still reserve a bit of doubt. As I mentioned in my video about gay love was not a taboo topic during most time of Imperial China. Romantic love between 2 men, at its very worst, was regarded as personal eccentricity. There are a lot of historical records about the gay love affair of powerful men during Imperial China. These powerful men, such as the Han and Tang emperors, were criticized not because they had male lovers, but because they abused the power by awarding their lovers that they did not deserve. Many of the male lovers of the Han emperors, such as the great general Han Yan and Wei Qing, were not criticized because they were the lovers of a powerful man, but because they obtained their power by charming the Han Emperor Liu Che, rather than with their marriage and achievement. So why was there no historical record about the love affair of Wang Wei and Pei Di? It is not like there is no historical record about gay love stories during the Tang Dynasty celebrities. Several Tang emperors were recorded to have male lovers in the official Tang histories of 旧唐书, or the older version of Tang history compiled by one of the short dynasty 后唐, or the later Tang, and 新唐书, or the new version of the Tang history compiled by the Shang dynasty officials. The most famous one was that of a crown prince named Li Chengqian, who was the eldest son of the second Tang Emperor Li Shimin, because his father Li Shimin executed his lover, a musician and dancer named Chen Xin. I also tried to find if there is a poem composed by Pei Di expressing affection to Wang Wei, but I did not find any. There are only poems about visiting Buddhist temples with Wang Wei, cheering beautiful scenery spots with Wang Wei, or expressing frustration of not being able to fulfill his political aspiration, etc. Maybe the romantic affection was one-sided. Maybe Pei was not gay and his affection to Wang Wei was that of a fan to an idol. But I did find another poet named Chu Guangxi who lived between 706 to 763, who was explicit about his homosexual orientation in his poems. Wang Wei composed a poem describing an unsuccessful meeting with Chu Guangxi, and Chu Guangxi composed a poem responding to Wang Wei's poem. Maybe I should make a video about these two poems in the next few weeks. Let me know if you are interested. I'm also running a poll on the community page about the nature of their relationship this week. You can vote and tell me why you voted yes or no to the question whether they were lovers or not. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and medicine. Please click the like button and subscribe my channel. Your support is very important for me. If you would like to donate to my channel, you can find the Patreon link on the homepage of my channel or the description section down below. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. So if you would like to read the original Chinese text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you next time.